Yeah, we'll see.
Like usually he's so early usually, so that's why.
When you reading the consent agenda.
I'm gonna just sort of gonna highlight it.
Yeah. I was gonna be able to do that. Be reading that for a while.
Yeah, I'll keep you here till 5:30.
I couldn't believe everything, I was so. No, I was just, I just,
I'll just say that what's on it instead of listing it with letter number. Right, have the water line treatments? Private?
I've got one, no, not private,
Okay.
but I've got one on that new stuff we put in down on Great Northern Road, but
Where?
on Great Northern Road,
Yeah?
I've got a wet spot. It's not percolating, it's not running, it's just wet. And that area was not, that was like sugar sand
Yeah.
before they, when they were putting that stuff in, so I'm gonna have to run, I'm gonna try to do a pressure test on a hydrant. I'll shut the two valves off and then open a hydrant and hopefully it holds pressure. If it doesn't, we've got issues, but I hope not.
That'll be on a new line?
Beyond that brand new, where they extended it off that, where it ended before it, that hydrant.
Yeah. Time is 4:30 PM. The City of Pelican Rapids Council meeting of 11 January 2022 is called to order. I ask those in our audience this evening if you would not sign in, if you do so before you leave, and everyone please put their cell phones on vibrate. We'll call the members. Danielle?
Councilmember Steve Strand.
Here.
Councilmember Kevin Ballard.
Here.
Councilmember Kurt Markgraf.
Here.
Councilmember Steve Foster is absent, and Mayor Brent Frazier.
Here. I want to welcome each and every one of you. There's first city council meeting of the year 2022. Those in the council chambers, those joining us on Zoom technology this evening. And remember, our city council meetings are shown on channel 14 on Wednesday evenings. I just have a couple announcements for the next couple of weeks. Monday, January 17th, City Hall offices will be closed in recognition of Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And then our next city council meeting is January 25th, 4:30 PM here at City Council Chambers. Any other announcements? Any other announcements? Hearing none, if we'll all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
thank you. Item number 2 is citizens' comments. Anyone here for citizens' comments? Anyone here for citizens' comments? Seeing none, we'll move on to item number 3, agenda additions or deletions. I have one deletion. If we delete item number 5, the special assessment request from Andy Johnson, delete item number 5.
Move to approve the agenda with the deletion.
Second.
Motion second, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same, motion carried. Item number 4 is approval of consent agenda. It is very long. I've just sort of summarized these in order. Looking to approve the minutes of the council meeting of December 14th, approval of accounts payable listing, appointing clerk treasurer Daniel Arjun, official newspaper designation Pelican Rapids Press, official depository Minnesota National Bank, Bell Bay, appoint city attorney Krekelberg Law Firm, approve expenses to fire, police, liquor store clerks, mayor's regional meetings and trainings, approve payment of administrator and clerk treasurer bonds, approve payment of liquor store bond, Coalition of Greater Minnesota Cities membership renewal, Minnesota Council of Airports membership renewal, Otter Tail Lakes Country Association Community Collaborative annual membership, approve mileage for the year 2022 of the 0.585 cents per mile, staff reports, police chief report, which is in your packet, financial report, which is in your packet, and also certify to property taxes. I'll read those. There's 3 parcels at 20 Southeast 4th Avenue, administrative penalty of $50. 121 Northeast 1st Street, administrative penalty of $50, and 22 Northwest 2nd Avenue, administrative penalty of $50. There's a motion to approve. Second?
Second.
Motion second. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. We'll go on to item number 7. We have Superintendent Brian Wilson here for his street and park report. Brian?
Short and sweet tonight for sure. We have already plowed this year 6 times, which is, last year we plowed twice. So with plowing, we've also been able to take care of downtown like usual. Gotten that cleaned up as fast as we could. There was one time when we got that nasty wind and several inches that I did hire Aggies to remove it with their equipment, so it was in a more efficient time. With all that comes a lot of repairs. Our trucks of blades and hydraulic hoses and things that happen to go. So we've not moving snow. We're seem to be fixing it. So many might notice, or maybe you haven't, but that we have a fire hydrant on the northwest corner of this property that got damaged by the state road grader when they came through. So that will be, we've covered it and insulated it and put a big marker by it with intentions of replacing in the spring. It's kind of an unfortunate because it's one of those that's going to get replaced in '24, but we kind of need that hydrant there just for fire protection in that area. The skating rink has been open, although we opened it last Thursday was supposed to be, but with the cold weather, we've only been really open 3 days. So it has been, it was nice, and then it was cold, we got ice, and then it's just been so cold that decided to keep it closed. And then I had a resignation in the street department. A long-time employee has decided to resign, and so with that, I would like to hire Ryan Hughesby, the one who has been with us now for 6 months, in replace of that full-time position that is open, if I could.
Brian, what is the rate of pay?
We're going to start him at level 2, which is $18.91 an hour.
We have to accept the resignation.
No.
I move to approve the hire of Ryan Hughesby as the step 2 assistant.
Second.
Motion second, discussion? That'll be immediately.
That'll be immediate, yes. It'll go in. I'll just carry him over. He's been with us since last June, so.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried.
Any questions?
I'd like a motion to approve Brian's report in
Okay.
general.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion second, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Thank you.
Perfect,
Any
thanks.
other questions for Brian before we go? Thank you. Item number 8 is library report, which is in your packet, and we have Library Chair Wayne Runnigan here this evening to answer any questions you would have. Yeah. Start with the library report. Do you have anything to add?
Just a couple of things from our meeting that aren't necessarily in the report in your packet. We did return our meeting time to the first Monday of every month at 6 p.m. We have been meeting Wednesdays through the COVID thing, and it was a scheduling thing, so we're back to the first Monday of every month at 6 p.m. And then we had our election of officers, and the officers are myself as chair, Sue Seifert vice chair, Dave Gottenborg secretary, Cheryl Brenna as a bill checker, and then I am the Viking Library Board representative representing the library. And also in your packet is the 2022 library budget, which we approved at our meeting. And also in your packets, we approved the meeting room policy and the forms, which we've been looking at for the last couple of months. And so they are now in effect. The one other item, we were informed by the director that the part-time library page position, which hasn't been working the past year through COVID, that position has been eliminated. It was just a part-time position. And we were also made aware that the circulation librarian has requested to go to an on-call substitute status because of her family situation. She still wants to be available at times, but with her family situation, it's just isn't working for her to work her 30-hour status now. So the library board did approve to advertise for that position, which is a 30-hour per week position. So those are the updates that you don't have in your packet. So any questions?
Any questions for Wayne? If not, is there a motion to approve the report?
So moved. Second.
Motion and second, discussion? Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carried.
Thank you.
And moving on to item number 9, library board appointment. I had been contacted and I met with Mary Williams in Pelican Rapids, and she was interested in that position that is now open that Councilman Kurt Markgraf was on previously, and she is the only one that has shown any interest in filling that appointment. So, Mary Williams. I would recommend that we appoint her to the board.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second? Is there a second?
I'll second this we can discuss.
Motion second, discussion?
Have we thought about, since we have a council representative to the planning commission, should we have a council representative to appoint, or to the library board as well? To improve communication and such.
I guess we,
Since Kurt's no longer, Kurt, it was kind of a coincidental thing that Kurt happened to be just thrown out, and is that something we want to consider?
what's the council feel about that?
Well, I always thought it was good we got good information from Kurt and Kevin when they attended the meetings about what was going on. You know, we sometimes have had some communication problems there. It was helpful to have those two report on what's going on.
Are there meetings online? The weather, are they filmed? Can you buy it?
They're not, I think we tried, we did when we couldn't meet in person, did we use that owl or whatever it was? But it wasn't streamed, I don't think.
That would be nice.
Wayne, do you have any comments on it?
Oh, I've got hearing aids, so I'm tangled up. So all I would just say is that we're making an effort now in Kurt's absence to communicate with the library, or the council, and I know there were several times that Kurt wasn't at the meeting, and then there were gaps in your information, so I guess necessarily having a council member there all the time, if they're not in attendance, you're not gonna get your information, I guess, but, I mean, we'll try and make an effort to keep the council informed. It has to be a city resident, and the appointment, because we have 2 other library board members that are outside the city, so it's required that the majority is city residents, so we have to have 3, and that's myself and Dave Gottenberg, and Mary would make up the 3rd. In the past, I think Kurt is probably one of the first council members that has served on the library board. I think in the past it was always residents, but it's not required. I think in the ordinance it says it can only be 1. You can't have more than 1 council member. That's written in the ordinance, so.
Well, I mean, it would make sense that the library portfolio, which unfortunately is me, but I'm also a member, I mean, I would not want to serve on the library board and the planning commission. But I'm not saying that, I mean, if we could pass, so somebody else could have the library portfolio.
But are you suggesting then that the library, council representative to the library meeting is a library board member or just an attendee?
They would be, as for the planning commission, I'm a voting member of the planning commission, but the council representative to the library board would be a voting member of the board.
Wayne, are you limited to the number of board members you can have? That's all, you're also limited by number of board members, right?
Yeah, it's 5.
So thus, if you decided to put a councilman on there, you couldn't appoint.
And Kurt can't serve because he did his 9 years, and he'd have to wait a year before he could come back on.
Correct.
Just a thought, just don't go for it.
Okay, we do have a motion and a second on the floor.
I don't know Mary Williams, can you tell us anything about her?
She's our representative now from the city on the hospital board. And I believe her intentions, not official, but I think her intentions are to get off the hospital board, so we're gonna have to look for somebody to take the place there. But she worked at Lake Region Electric for many, many years. I don't know what department she was in.
She was the billing supervisor. She handled all the billing for Lake Regional Electric, so.
And she is a city resident?
Yep. She lives on the gravel up behind me.
Yeah.
Her and Tom.
Any more discussion? Any more discussion? If not, all in favor of appointing Mary Williams as library board director, signify by saying aye.
Not director. Just board.
Board member. Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Thank you. Item number 10 is authorized credit card use. Have city administrator, $5,000, clerk treasurer, $5,000, police chief, $1,000, fire chief, $1,000, street park superintendent, $1,000, liquor store manager, $1,000, library director, $1,500, and city policy permits department heads to authorize up to $500 per purchase order. Department head must provide a purchase order within 24 hours of credit card use. Purchase order must have date used, vendor name, explanation of use, and amount charged, and provide invoice or receipt as soon as they are available. Is there a motion to approve?
Second.
Motion second, discussion?
These are the same as they were last year, right?
Discussion? Hearing no more. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Item number 11 is election of acting mayor. In the past, Councilman Foster has served there. Councilman Foster, what's your wishes?
I'll do it again if you want me to. I'm okay with that, too.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Item number 12 is approve the 2022 appointments to boards and authorities, which is in your packet. Do I hear a motion to approve those?
I'll make that motion, but I can't get to my packet here, so could you review the,
What are the changes from last year? Todd or Danielle?
I have no idea.
Excuse me, there are really some terms, turned out. That was basically the only thing, like Kim Halrud, for the planning commission, she took over somebody's position, so she's just starting her first term. John Wall is just starting his second term. So there really isn't anybody new, except for on the library board, Mary Williams will be added to that now. But otherwise, everybody else is the same.
Put that on the screen, please, if you want. If you can see.
I got it here, I can't see this.
You can make a motion.
Yeah, I made one.
I'll second. Okay, that's good.
We have a motion second, correct, Danielle?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same, motion carried. Item number 12 is approved, item number 13, approved city fee schedule. Is there any changes to that from last year? They're all the same?
Yeah.
Of course, you know. Could you refresh my memory on trailer park deposit?
The residents in the trailer park pay a $50 deposit on their, for water and sewer.
That's all about, I know.
I believe the reason it started is because if the bill does not get paid, we can't assess it because they're not property owners. So everybody else, if they don't pay their water bill, it gets assessed to their taxes. We can't in the trailer park because they don't own the property. So we've always just charged a $50 deposit. And then they get their deposit back when they move.
So is that a big issue or?
No.
I approve the city schedule, but I would pull the trailer park deposit.
Why?
I just don't like the sound of that, and I could explain more, but, I don't think it's nice.
Do you know how many we had in the last year?
How many paid,
How many we had that didn't get their deposit back for lack of payment, or, because typically it's in the trailer owner's name, right, not the.
correct. Well, okay, so you're pulling that one? We have a motion. I would suggest not, or charging it still, but we won't be able to recoup that money when we,
How much was it this past year?
that I had in deposit. I don't know if anybody's moved in the last year. I would have to look up that information.
So what would, and I imagine it'd be a logistical nightmare, but what would be the issue of doing that with renters? So that the renter, so that Kurt, living in my rental property, doesn't pay his water bill, but I get the penalties and I get the letters and I get the, is there a way to do that with renters or not?
Well, right now, our ordinance says that the bills, it stays in the property owner's name. So that's why we keep it in the property owner's name. It's, everybody's different too. Some people have their renters pay the water bill, some don't. So sometimes we don't know if it's a rental even.
Most property owners take care of that one way or another, where they have it's either charged through the rent, or in some cases, the rent will pay it, but the property owner has to back it up if they don't pay it. So I guess my question to you is, Steve, is do you have another solution to this situation where you have renters that wouldn't, not trailer owners that don't own the property, but not.
I'm not sure how big of a dollar issue it is, I guess. I don't like the name of it.
Okay, Dan?
As it stands currently, if they don't pay their bill at a certain lot in the trailer park, we have a deposit from
Yeah.
them already?
Yeah.
And that covers it?
Yeah. It usually covers like a month.
Right,
Yeah.
right, and not paid afterwards, go to the turkey then, or whoever is doing the trailer park, or?
If it's not paid,
Right.
then we just have to write it off, I guess.
And a lot of times the $50 does not cover the bill.
Right, so, no, that's my question, though, if it doesn't cover it, then do we get reimbursed from the landowner then?
No.
Because currently, if my renter doesn't pay, then I gotta pay.
Yeah.
So, maybe we put the property owner on the hook. He won't like to hear that. Nobody would like to hear that, but he's a landlord, a renter, and everybody else is treated that way.
In some sense, whether we put something in place to go and try and collect from the trailer park owner, this actually would help ease that pain a little bit too.
Sure.
'Cause
Yeah, I agree,
he gets stuck-
I'm just thinking, if I didn't pay my water bill, and my $50 was out there, and you got ate up, and I don't pay it again, who cares? There's no retribution to me. The fact is, I'd pay my January bill with my deposit, and that'd be the end of it.
And we can change the name of it.
What Kurt's talking about, does that have to be handled in an ordinance?
Well, I'm not suggesting we change
No, no,
anything,
but
I'm just looking for,
What he's talking about, is that an ordinance issue?
I don't know that it's an ordinance issue. I don't know, we'd have to read the
Yeah.
ordinance, but.
Yeah, I'm not sure either, because it's been around longer than I have, so.
Yeah, when it was established, it was called this, and it's
Yeah,
We can say mobile home park, we can say whatever. If it's the sound of it that's causing concern. But the concept or reason for it, I think.
Is it the fact that they're singled out?
Yeah.
They come up with $50 instead of like, I don't have to send $50 as a resident owner.
It's just that little small section of town.
Can we?
Have there been any complaints or issues with it?
I haven't heard of any.
I haven't heard of it.
In the traffic, and I thought, wow, that just doesn't really.
Did you have a motion?
Yeah, we do have a.
Is there, there's no
just a
second
motion.
on the floor?
No.
Is there a second? Is there a second? Is there a second? Motion dies for lack of a second.
So can we strike that item for further debate or table that item for further debate and still pass the fee schedule, remain in the fee schedule?
You can pass the fee schedule and talk about the fee schedule anytime you want to. Sure. Follow me, you can talk about whether you want to change it or not.
I move to pass or accept the fee schedule.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Discussion. Discussion.
If we want to, we can discuss that anytime.
Yeah.
So,
Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
aye.
Opposed, the same?
Aye.
Motion carried. Item number 14 is set time, place, and date of regular city council meeting. As of now, we have the second and last Tuesday of the month at 4:30 PM here at city council chambers.
I'm going to keep the same schedule.
Motion second, discussion, discussion, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same? Motion carried. Item number 15 is rental license report, Don.
Yep, just to report that at the end of the year, everybody was supposed to have their license, their inspections, paperwork, everything completed, totally completed to where the license was issued, and we actually have 5 that didn't make it. One of them, there was no paperwork whatsoever submitted. We're still trying to contact them to get them. 2 of them set their inspections too late and they failing, so they needed re-inspection, so they didn't get done by the end of the year. And 2 of them, where we don't have water utility, they are required to have a water test done to make sure there's no bacteria in that, whatever, in their well system, water system. And 2 of them, in any of those water tests failed, so they did not get done before the end of the year. So those 5 properties got assessed $300 fine.
So, okay, so those 5 got $100 fine. How long do they have to make these?
As quickly as possible, because it goes up by $10 every week. And we continue to, each month, you know, we don't bill them or send them notices every week, but at the end of the month, they get another bill that says you still haven't taken care of this. So by the end of the month, we've added 4 weeks, you know, $10, $40 more to it.
So if they don't, where's the key? I mean, if they don't pay that, what happens?
If they continue to go too long without getting a license in place, then we turn it over and we ticket them. And now it goes to the attorney, our litigation attorney. Once the ticket's issued. We try to give them the benefit of the doubt, obviously, because it's a whole lot less hassle of having to potentially now go down to court over it.
Do you have a time frame where it does turn into a ticket? Do we have that listed?
We try not to, no, not technically. It depends on the circumstance. If the individual is kind of communicating with us and is trying to get something done, then, we work with them. But if we're not hearing anything whatsoever after a couple months' worth of trying to get them to get taken care of, then we'll issue a ticket.
Don, are these 5 different people?
I believe there's 3 different people on 5 different properties. And most times it's repeats.
Hearing that, is there a motion to accept the? Second. Motion second, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same, motion carried. Let's go back up to item number 6, Otter Tail Truck Station Utility Extensions. We have Mr. Bob Freeman with us here this evening from Apex Engineering Group, and there was a handout that was on your desk this evening for you, and Bob, you can discuss this.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, just wanted to touch base this evening. I know, as many of us are aware, Otter Tail County is constructing a new truck garage in the northwest portion of Pelican Rapids. It's just on the south side of 430th Avenue, and they are wanting to have the city utilities, city water and city sewer extended to that site. So, talking with Don, talking with Chuck Grotti with Otter Tail County, the Otter Tail County engineer, we'd like to get going and on the design of those utilities, because that truck facility is going to be constructed in 2022, and Otter Tail County would like utilities to that site sometime in 2022 as well. So what I've done here is basically we've updated our estimated cost. We've reached out to Otter Tail County. They're still, it sounds like, kicking around the idea of whether or not they want to pave a portion of that road. So under our design, we're going to assume that we're going to basically just leave the road as is. Right now it's gravel. If they want to pave it in the future, it sounds like they're going to probably tackle that task on their own. So as part of our project, what it would be is designing the sanitary sewer, designing the water to the site, and then doing whatever we need to do to that gravel road. If we have to disturb it, put it back the way it is right now. We're also working between the city and the county on an agreement. It's our understanding right now the county is going to pay the construction and professional services in full. So right now we are working with on an agreement between the county and city regarding the payment of those items. So right now estimated cost is about $290,000 to make those improvements. That's assuming that again gravel road stays gravel at this time. Anticipated project timeline, do the design starting here in January and then hopefully finalize or finish up in March. Advertise for bids in March. Award a construction contract in April. Construction sometime between June and September. That project hopefully would not take more than a week, maybe 2. But exact timeline as far as the actual work taking place, we don't know yet. So I just put in there sometime between June and September. And then hopefully we could, depending on when construction actually takes place, by October or November have that construction completed and contract closed out. So if the city wishes to move forward with having these improvements made or moving forward with design, I did include a task order for design, bidding, and construction services. I've attached that. That should be included in your packet. It's our basic 4-page task order that we've executed for a number of other projects. Everything that we've got in here, because of the lack of size of this project, it is a rather small project in nature. We're just going to do everything on an hourly basis. And right now, the overall estimated project or estimated cost for engineering services for everything is right around $52,100. And again, we would do everything on a time and expense basis. So, any questions on that? Yes.
Item D, resident project representative.
Basically, inspector. So when the project is taking place, typically we have somebody out there watching those utilities go in. Resident project representative is the EJCDC term or phrase for basically an on-site inspector. So.
Bob, are they coming off the end of the industrial park Road?
That is correct. Yep, Industrial Park Drive, right there. There's a 10-inch water main that ends. There's also, I believe it's an 8-inch sanitary sewer that ends. That's where we would connect into the utilities and simply extend them west. We did look at putting those utilities in the southerly ditch. However, if you look right now, there is a power line, overhead power line that runs along that corridor. There's also some underground private utilities that run in that corridor in the ditch. Would make it very expensive and tough to put those utilities within that ditch. Haven't made a final decision yet. We're going to definitely sit down with Brian and Don to finalize that, but right now it looks like the preferred route is probably going to put the sanitary sewer down the middle of the gravel road and then have the water main about 10 to 12 feet off, 10 to 12 feet south of the sanitary sewer. So.
What are they doing for power? Gas, heat, what are they doing?
They'll have to extend all those utilities as well if they're not there. I really don't know. You know, the whole site, I'm assuming the county's taking care of all that. But yeah, that'll all be extended out there if it isn't there right now. And I believe we're actually meeting with the township toward the end of January as well because they're going to be involved. It's going to be the township, city staff, the county, and myself. We're going to get together and just discuss some things. So,
If the county is, excuse me, is projected to pay for the project, does the city have any involvement in the bid? Excuse me, the bidding or the bid opening?
yeah, so what's going to happen here, since it's your utilities that are being extended, the way it's going to be done is the city is actually going to have us do the design, go through the bidding process. It's going to be a city-owned project since it's your utilities. And simply what's going to happen is the county is just going to reimburse the city for all of the costs. So, and we see that since, again, it's your utility infrastructure, you want control over what happens, the design of it and everything like that. It's pretty standard practice to have the city or the owner have the design done, oversee the construction, and then just simply get reimbursed from the county. Good questions. Any other questions?
You expect, because there's going to be a lot of bidding on this project this summer, or is there going to be few bids, or what do you?
That's a very good question, Steve. It looks like there's going to be a lot of work out there. That's a good question. I can't say that. It all depends on the year, the nature of the work. Sometimes we go into these projects and we expect 5, 6 bidders and we get 2. Sometimes we expect 2 and we get 5 or 6. So I don't know. It sounds like there's going to be a lot of work out there. Let's put it that way. I don't know what that means. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I'm almost more concerned maybe in this one. It shouldn't affect it a lot, but for some of our other projects, I'm almost more concerned about supply chain issues. So we're already hearing concerns about that too. So, yeah, good question though.
Any other questions?
I move that we go forward with engineering and design,
Question of extension, yeah. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Anything else, Ron?
The only other thing that I have on my agenda this evening is I just wanted to mention regarding Trunk Highway 59 and 108, now that we think we have some type of idea as far as what's going to happen with the surface infrastructure on that project, we are going to proceed with starting to lay out the underground utilities. When I say the underground utilities, I mean the city's sewer and water. So we are going to get going. We kind of held off once there was a little bit of a delay there, but you know, this project is supposed to take place in 2024. It sounds like they're going to advertise for bids and get bids probably late in 2023. So there's a lot of work to be done there. So we're going to start to move ahead on that process, work with city staff, and get going on that. I just wanted to let everybody know that we're going to move ahead. So.
Thank you. Any questions for Bob? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Going down to item number 16, city administrator report. Don.
Since the last council meeting, we had a department head meeting. I'm still working with the clerk to set the agenda and get ready for this meeting. I met a couple of times with Houston Engineering and MnDOT, as well as Brian Olson, to talk about the dam hydraulics. We're kind of doing some research into where the stormwater all comes together off of 108 and from the high-rise post office, they all kind of meet in that city-owned property along the dam wall, kind of north, just not too far from that observation deck. So you couldn't see that manhole there. It was tough to locate. It's been there for a long, long time, but we did televise and found it. And so met a couple times to figure out the logistics, because obviously if the dam project was going to happen prior to the 2024 project, just making sure MnDOT's involved in the conversation about how we replace that and make sure that the MnDOT stormwater lines and our lines connect up after we're done, and also discussions about the resizing of it, because we've got to think long-term, and the pipes that are there now, our pipes, are, I don't remember the size of them, if they're 18-inch or whatever, but they're going to have to be bigger, and MnDOT wants to put bigger ones in anyway, so just having those discussions. And then I met with the Otter Tail County Community Development Authority and had some discussions along some economic development opportunities, and we'll continue to kind of do a little bit of research there and see what might come out of those. Talking with a potential developer on maybe doing some stuff. And then met with Sourcewell regarding the comprehensive plan. That's getting close to being done. They're writing the chapters of it now. Hopefully they'll have something before the Planning Commission in February timeframe, and then on to the City Council. So that's getting closer to completing the upgrade of the comprehensive plan. I did some work on both the squad cars to replace the, I call them hockey pucks, but the little internet access things that they get that allows them to get internet to the squad car computers. We need to update the ones we have, and so I worked with Otter Tail County and Verizon to get those things put in. Then, since they extended the deadline for submittal of the targeted community capital program grant that we submitted to the pool, and after we did our submittals, they ended up extending the time, so we took the opportunity to go back, and we had the application reviewed by a grant writer, and they made some suggestions for us, some things to change and revise a little bit. It wasn't a whole lot, but they thought that we did a really good job, Amy and I, on the grant that we wrote. And so we made those modifications, and we submitted them by the new end date. And it does create some questions for us now, because instead of awarding this grant by the end of this month's meeting, and then having to talk about the award after the bid opening, they're not going to award this grant now until probably around March 21 is when they'll notify the applicants that receive the grant. So we won't know if we're going to get this grant now until March. So we'll be trying to figure out what that means between now and the end of the month. I think potentially what it'll mean is just asking Hammers to hold that bid again. We don't want to rebid this thing, because I think the numbers came in really nice for us. But you know that them holding the bid, just like we asked them to do before, to get us to the end of January, they knew that that was going to be increased costs, supply costs. And I anticipate that if we're going to extend this thing beyond March 1st, there's going to be additional supply costs. We don't know what they are. That'll be a discussion we're going to have with Hammers. We'll know that. But I think in the long run, it's probably going to be more cost effective for the city to just cover those increased costs and hold this thing till March as opposed to rebidding it. But that's some conversations we still have to have with the architect and get ready for the end of the month meeting, and then we'll know more at that point. Also, I worked with the school and with West Central Initiative to apply for the Safe Routes to School grant. That's a grant that the city had gotten a while back, but they changed the criteria and the things they wanted. And so in a sense, our Safe Routes to School study is what this grant is about. The one that we did back in 2013 is really null and void. And so they have dollars to do new studies, and we thought, yeah, working with the school, we wanted to apply. So again, if we get this and we get the study done, the study won't start until this fall timeframe, and I think it'll be done by the end of the year. But really, it provides us with everything we need from a pedestrian, bikeability, community standpoint, with the complete project, or the complete streets concept and the 2024 project that's being planned out, with the bikeable community workshop that was done in the bike and ped plan that Pelican Rapids approved. You know, that gives us, in a sense, the bike and pedestrian infrastructure or a plan, something to look at and talk about and plan with for the general community within the city. The one piece of it missing was really focusing just strictly on the schools and getting students to the school, and that's what this study would do. If we get awarded it, basically we work with West Central Initiative. It's a little bit different this time than it was before, but we work with the school. West Central Initiative facilitates it and goes through the whole process. It's not a whole lot of, other than just some elected officials or members of the city staff, the police department being on the committee with West Central Initiative folks, with school individuals from the school that make up the committee to do the study. So that will start this fall if we get the grant. Like a lot of us in the city, this last month we burned vacation time to get our numbers down. Rent count time, everybody worked on that. Coming around to the first of the year now, we've got the annual reports to do, so I submitted our Wetland Conservation Act annual report. I also attended a Minnesota Department of Health webinar regarding the final revised lead and copper replacement rule, and we're going to be hearing more about that. But in a nutshell, all communities that provide public water systems or water to their communities have to follow the new rule that they're working on, and they expect it to be passed before too long. Part of it for us means that in every community is we have to have a complete inventory of every service line in the city of Pelican Rapids, and that inventory list, however we do it, and they're still trying to finalize what they want to see on that list, but every community has to submit this complete inventory to the state. There's also different testing requirements for lead and copper in residences, and depending on your lead and copper levels, that raises to a whole nother reporting concern, educational piece for the community. We have to start educating the community on lead and copper. We have to also, depending on our lead and copper levels in the water, have to come up with, and we may have to anyway, come up with a plan to start replacing all of our lead pipes in our water system. Now, obviously, the city has a lot of them. Well, I shouldn't say we don't know necessarily right now how many we have, but a good portion of our community is fine. But the ones that are identified on that inventory, we have to start trying to figure out when we're going to replace them. There's going to be the city portion of it, but then a lot of them service lines from our mains go all the way from main to the curb stop. The property owner is always the property owner's responsibility. We can't make somebody replace their lead line if they don't want to. So there's going to be things that we're going to talk about as far as incentives and funding and all kinds of stuff like that to try and get this lead and copper replacement plan put together. So you'll be hearing more about that. I worked on a couple personnel issues. Obviously, Brian reported that we had a resignation today, so kind of working on that and meeting with them, those individuals. And then I began working on our pay equity report. That's due at the end of this month. So trying to compile the information I need to be able to put a report together and submit it. That's my report.
Can I ask a question? Could you tell us how the license bureau downtown they're working on? Is there progress there? Or?
Yeah, there's progress. It's been extremely slow, and for these two gals that are trying to get this business going, I'm sure it's been a bit frustrating for them. I think what they're learning is the same thing that a lot of us are learning. Working with state agencies in COVID time is not very efficient and very fast. So the kind of where the update was, I kind of reached out to the state and you know, the license bureau that looks these applications over and everything, and they were going to get theirs pushed, you know, down the chain of command, and they expected to have everything finalized in pretty short order. I think I talked about a month ago. I haven't talked to two gals. It's possible they've heard something because, you know, everything will go to them. The unfortunate thing is they had a location plan figured out. Matter of fact, they rented the place. Yeah. And so they had it secured, waiting for the state. But the state was dragging their feet, or just going so slowly, they had to give it up because they didn't know if they were going to get it, and they couldn't continue to pay rent on something that they weren't generating revenue on. So they had to give it up, or rent it out right away. And so, working with them, trying to help them find another place. And they're still searching. They've got some ideas. So they might get the okay before they have a place to put it now.
So there's hope.
Oh yeah, there's still hope. They really want to get it here, and we all want to have it here.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions for Don?
Has the state given any indication of when they're going to start this dam project?
No, part of the discussion we had the other day, the engineers are you know, it kind of got slowed down again because of this looking for this manhole, but also, as you guys heard before, a little bit on, you know, the Pelican Peak and what we're going to do there. They have come to the conclusion that at some point they're going to start looking at doing that dredging, and that was one of the things that was brought up at the last meeting is, you know, can they do any of that stuff, you know, that they have to wait. And they are looking at the possibility of at least getting some of that done. But as far as, you know, what we know right now, they're still going through the designs of stuff, talking with MnDOT to make sure that that's all coordinated and worked out, and they still plan on doing the full project going, you know, this winter into next, you know, 2023, winter of 2022, spring of 2023. But they're going to see what they can do, and you'll hear more on that once they figure out what can be done this summer to try and at least start the dredging upstream from the dam.
Okay.
Any other questions? If not, thank you, Don. Item number 17, mayor report, just 2 or 3 items. I had conversations with the mayor at Historic City Hall on the 29th of December. I met with Mary Williams, as I discussed before, regarding her desire to be on the library board. I have had conversations with Sourcewell regarding the comprehensive plan, and today I met with Administrator Silva regarding the agenda for this afternoon's council meeting. Any questions? Thank you. If not, item number 18, we're going to recess our city council meeting at this time and move into our EDA meeting. So I would call the EDA meeting to order. The time is 5:25 p.m. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda which you have before you? Any additions or deletions? Hearing none, is there a motion to accept the agenda?
I'll move to accept the agenda.
Second? Motion second. Discussion? 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 Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Item number 3 is election of officers. Our previous officers for the past year have been all members, Kevin Ballard, Kirk Marcraft, Secretary Danielle Hartoon, Treasurer Steve Strand, Assistant Treasurer Don Solga, Vice President Steve Foster, and President myself. So we need to elect officers for this coming year.
Move to present the list as read.
Second.
Motion and second. Discussion, discussion, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same, motion carried. Item number 4, approval of minutes. Those were in your packet. Those were from January 13th, 2021. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll hold the second for the minutes, 1/12/21.
Motion second, discussion, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same, motion carried. Item number 5 is membership renewal for Greater Minnesota Partnership. Don, do you want to explain that a little bit?
Yeah, that's just the membership that we do every year. Greater Minnesota Partnership is a group that many cities belong to. It's kind of somewhat affiliated with Greater Minnesota cities, but it's a little bit different. Our membership fee basically helps pay the cost of lobbying and whatnot for economic development, housing, that type of thing. Some of which the coalition does, but this focuses more on economic development and housing type stuff at the capital. We've belonged to it for probably 6, 7, 8 years now.
Make a motion to renew the membership for the Greater Minnesota Partnership.
Second.
Motion second, discussion.
How much is it cost?
It's like
$500.
$500, $600.
Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same, motion carried. Seeing no other business on the EDA agenda, is there a motion to adjourn?
So,
Second?
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, the same, meeting adjourned. But now we're going to reconvene our city council meeting, and we'll, item number 19, that is to review and accept our EDA actions that we just,
Can I ask a quick question? And I probably should have added this with the EDA agenda, but are we going forward with the hiring of an economic development director? So is that going to be listed, or what's the process?
Right now, I'm working on the job description, also trying to establish or put together an interviewing committee. I've got to come up with the questions we'll ask the applicant, and the ad, and I think at that point, we can post it, but it's a matter of getting the job description finalized and committee in place and all that.
So does that get listed the same as our new open,
Yes.
just like in the press and then?
We will actually put it, League of Minnesota Cities, the press, every place that we, Facebook, every place that we typically post for jobs like that.
okay.
Timeline, I don't know.
Okay, so looking for a motion to accept our actions that we took as an EDA board.
so move.
Second?
Second.
Motion second, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same, motion carried. Seeing no other agenda items, is there a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Motion second, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, the same. Meeting adjourned.
Do you guys have questions about something, or?